The changes made to Swift 4.0 regarding strings are part of a vision called the String Manifesto. You can find the details of that here. So briefly, the 4 changes made to strings are: strings are now collections again, which means that you can iterate over them and get access to the useful methods in collection. There's a new string protocol which facilitates substrings. You can now define little strings over multiple lines, which is really useful for long strings. And there's small improvements to character regarding Unicode. So if we look closer at strings being collections again, what that gives us, the first is access to the methods in collection, which, as you can see, is a lot easier to write now rather than having to use the dot character that we had to use in Swift 3. And also you can see how easy it is to iterate over the string again. We have a new string protocol, and we also have a new substring class which uses that protocol. Also the old string class uses the string protocol. It's actually implemented in an extension. What this enables us to do is create very fast substrings, because the substring actually keeps a reference to the original string and start and end index, and what it does is it doesn't actually copy the contents of the original string, but if, for example, you remove the original string, it defers that copy until it's actually needed, which greatly improves performance in those cases where you do keep the old string lying around. It's actually a surprise that the next change has taken so long to come into Swift, because it's a real pain to create long strings. Well, it was anyway. So they've just allowed you to use a triple quote to denote the start and end of a long string, and you can put underlying characters in that as well. Unless you're actually doing anything special with characters and strings, particularly using emojis, you probably won't need to even know about these changes that have been made to character, but they're really useful when you do need them. For example, when you used to need to extract the scalas from a character, you used to have to create another string, and it's because there wasn't a Unicode scala property on the character object. It got really messy. So that's the first block of code there. The second is that the way that they implement grapheme clusters. So now when you get a count on something like an emoji, you don't see the length of the underlying structure. You see in this example, it used to show 7, so that emoji is represented by 4 scalas. So the total count was 7, and now it's reporting 4, which is the correct value. Well, the correct value for the developer. That's the value that you really want, that you really care about for the length of a string. So it's really nice and consistent. So one thing I found really useful is to actually go into the string class and look at the headers, because there's some really comprehensive comments in there that actually explain why these changes have been made and how it can affect performance. So it's worth having a look, and it'll just give you a better understanding of the reasoning behind the changes. So if you like this video, please subscribe to theappblueprint.com on YouTube. Also, you can find more information about the App Blueprint on theappblueprint.com. I'm also part of a consortium of other developers. We create apps for iOS in Swift. That's at londonswift.com. And my personal website is darrendavidtaylor.com, when you can find out more information about my training and other services.